Hello, my name is Rachel McLeod, and I am a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I'm going to be talking with you about how to use shame to reach your dreams. Nope, and to reach your goals and to live your dream life. And I'm really excited about this one. That's why I'm tangling up my words there a little bit because I love that all of these emotions have a place in our life, and they're here for a reason. They're not just meant to torture us and to drag us down the hole into the abyss of wherever dark place they can sometimes drag us to. But they're really here to help us to function and to function well and to reach our dreams and reach our goals and live our dream life. And that's really what I am into. I do this work because I love to see people live their dream life, and I love living my dream life, and that's really a lot of what I'm into. And then just really sharing that with the world. And a lot of this emotional wellness can really be a big barrier to us living our dream life, and it also can be a barrier to us really breaking through to new levels and to new adventures and to new more into our potential. And that's really one of the reasons why I'm excited about this topic, because working with shame is one of the fastest ways just to break free, to feel light years better, and to do the things that you weren't able to do before. And I love that. I love that. I love watching people do what they could not do before, just because we just process a little bit of emotion, work with a little bit of shame, and bam, everything rises. Self-confidence comes up out of there. And so let's talk about shame and what it's doing, why it's here, and why using it can really just transform your whole life. So shame is an interesting one because it really has a bad rap. And if you've been in a shame prison, it's had a bad rap for a really good reason. Shame can lock you up in a prison. It can make your world really, really small, and the bars are invisible. There is no seeing it. Sometimes there's no, and other people can't see it for you. And sometimes they can see that you're caught up or you're hung up in shame, and they try to get you out, but nobody can really get you out of this. It just The brain has to help you do that. And sometimes there are magical moments where the stars align and poof, the shame disappears. But a lot of times you really have to know how to use the shame, how to work with the shame to really get that freedom. And so but this shame can really keep you small. It can keep you playing small. It can keep you small in your business, small in your relationships, and it can have the world like give us more of who you are. Like it can have your relationships, your husbands, your spouses, your wives, your children. Like they're like give us more, and you can't because shame. Right. And you're trying and you're on the inside, but you can't see it and they can't see it. You don't even know what you're dealing with. You don't know why you won't get in the family picture. You don't know why you won't do your lives. You don't know why you won't send your emails. You don't know why you won't step into your potential. And there's that tug of war. And when you're in that place, it just hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And you're racking your brain. Why? And a lot of times this is shame. There's shame in there that's got you chained in and chained down. And what happens with shame, one of the functions of shame, so what it does to humans is it will have us turning around and hiding. It's like that's the one of our cultural books. The Bible is like all about like written about shame. It's like all about shame. You ate the apple, did something you weren't supposed to do. You didn't live up to what you're supposed to be doing. You missed the mark, and now you're going to go run and hide, and you get kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and you live in hell, where the dinosaurs and the monsters can eat you anytime they want, right? And that's what can happen emotionally and mentally is that once that shame kicks in, it just really starts. It's a hell, and where you are vulnerable to lots of things. And so, but one of the things that it makes you do is you hide. You're just disappearing all of a sudden. The next thing you know, you've withdrawn. Your friends are like, "Hey, you know, where'd she go?" Gone. You were supposed to, everyone was like, "Hey, you should do that. Go for that promotion," and you hide. You won't go for it. You're avoiding people in the hallways. You're avoiding people on Facebook. You're. This is shame. Shame. Anytime you find yourself hiding, this is shame. Okay. And this is the first step of it is recognizing it. and working with it. You can use it to check yourself. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm in a shame dance. I am stuck in some shame. I've got my leg is caught in shame and I can't go any further. So just that awareness is really powerful, but that is only half of how you get out of this. Because it's one thing to know your chains and to see your chains. It's another thing to break free of them, right? And so, but another thing that people do with shame, how they know they're in it, is that shame makes you withdraw. It makes you not want to be out there anymore. It makes you want to come back and hide. You want to sit in the shadows. You want to be in darkness. You want to not be seen. And so that's really, really one of the things. And really, shame is a huge mental block. It's a huge mental block. It's a huge emotional block. And so if you are blocked out of something you want to do, likely shame is at play here. And shame is here. And so, and that's really frustrating again, because like you said, like I said, it's like you want to do this. You really, really want to do this, but you can't. And you know it's not physical because you know you could go do that. It's mental and it's emotional, and a lot of times that is shame. And so if you're blocked, it's time to look for some shame. And silent, if you're silent. I'm going to talk about some of the good things here, but I want you to get a good look at how shame, this emotion, could be playing a part here. I want it to start gaining visibility while we're having this discussion. I want you to be able to look at it. Even if you can't look at it directly, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You can look at it from the side of your eye, you know, whatever works for you. And then and shame is a source of a lot of suffering that we do here during our lifetimes. We can just when we can pick it up anytime. We can pick it up anytime in childhood. We can pick it up from our family members. We can pick it up in teen years, in adulthood. We can pick it up anytime. Brains do all the emotions all the time. I don't think there's going to be ever a time when we don't have emotions, or our brains don't make stuff up that we need to help our brains with, or that we need to bring into alignment with who we are. And so when you're feeling shame, that just lets you know where you can really get a lot of transformation. And that's what I see shame as. And so I don't see shame as a bad thing, just like fear and worry, jealousy, all these things are not, they're not bad. They are yours. So it's like, I'm thinking about the uncles and the cousins and the the weird aunts with all the cats, right? They're yours, right? But emotions, all of them are ours, and so they're meant to help us have an amazing life and live well and have a full heart and really connect deeply, right? And so even the not so fun ones, and so and really there, because we don't want to be afraid of these things. We don't want these things chasing us. We are the manager of these things. And if we're afraid of the things we're managing, that's not going to work very well. If you're afraid of your employees, you're afraid of your clients, like that's not going to work very well. You're supposed to be in here managing and running. That's what they want. All of these things, all of these emotions, shame wants you to manage it. And it might be intimidating, it might be scary, but it's your player, it's your teammate, and they work for you. And so it's really important to really learn how to take your place there and learn how to work with it and to lead your shame. And you do want to lead it. Okay. Um, and shame is really interesting also. The last note of this, I find this fascinating in my own inner world, and just in the inner worlds of the people that trust me enough to work with them. And so what we see is that when you've got shame running the program, when it's a shame program, what happens is that you will withdraw and pull yourself back and hold yourself back, because it's you're doing the right thing, right? The idea is that you're doing everyone a favor, because if you get in there, you're going to ruin it. If you get in there, it won't be as good. If you get in there, you're just going to be a burden. If you get in there, like, no, I'm just going to bring it down. I'm going to ruin it. And so that's shame having you pull back. There's not any truth to that. There might be some feelings about that accuracy. You may have had experiences where that has been the case in the past, but there is no truth that is going to continue. But shame says yes, it is, and we're just going to do everyone a favor and pull back and keep ourselves small. And so and that's who wrote that, who said that was the rule. And it's also, shame really has you feeling like you are upholding the rules. It's like you're not good enough, you don't get to go. And so, okay, I'm not going. Well, why aren't you going? I'm just not going. Well, and then but if you look inside, it's like, well, it, I'm ashamed to go, so I can't go, and I'm just not going because I'm not going. And this is there's shame happening here. There's shame at the door telling you you can't go. The rules say you can't go because you're not good enough. When you're good enough, then you can go. You're not skinny enough. I'm sorry, you can't go. You're not young enough. You can't go. You're just not enough. You can't go. But we know this is a lie. We know this is not. This is just an emotional prison and a mental prison because there are other people, fluffier, older, younger, all the other not enoughs. They're out there doing it, having a good time, but not you. You don't get to. Shame says, your shame says no. Their shame has them doing other things, but yours says you can't go to that party. You can't enjoy that. You don't get to eat that. You don't get to do that. You don't get to start that business. You don't get to say you're an expert in that. You're not good enough. And so it has you living by rules that are not in alignment with you and they're keeping you small. And so some key things that you might notice yourself saying or doing that really tune you into the shame piece are I should. If you're talking about shoulds, there's shame in there. And it really, we talk about this a lot. It slips in there. We talk about this with our children, with our relationships, with our partners, with our businesses. We have this going on in our subconscious mind. Our internal dialogue is talking about this. You should. This is a shaming tactic. This is shame. This is shame showing itself up. I don't think I mean, I don't know if anybody goes out and say today I'm going to shame people, but it's part of what we do and it's part of our culture. And if we don't see it for what it is, we can allow it to continue. But if you're shoulding, you're also shaming. And so understand that because that you can look in there and this is where it gets the good stuff. You can use the shame to break free. And then if you're feeling, hi Kia, yes. She says, yes, the lies we tell ourselves and rationalize. Yes, based on shame, this emotion. And if you're feeling unlovable or you feel like somebody else is unlovable, or if you're seeing unlovable, you're working with some shame. Unacceptable, shame. Not good enough, shame is in there. If you're doing name calling, like you're lazy, you just don't care, she's shaming. There's shaming happening there. You're pushing the shame button. Let's make some shame emotion. And I don't fit in. And if you're feeling like you don't belong or you don't fit in, there you are on a hot button of shame. And so that's really those are some of the ways that you know this is here. If this is showing up in any area of your life, this is a really wonderful opportunity. And let me tell you a couple of things that I know from working with shame. Shame is one of those things that is so silent, quiet, and hidden that it can escape your awareness for a lifetime. And it's so powerful and scary that it can be really like we can choose just I don't want to look at it. We can choose not to confront it. You can choose to hide from it. And we can get away with that for a lifetime. But what I also know is that the brain processes shame like that's one of the easiest things for brains to process. It's like lightning fast. It is so quick. Gone. Something you were ashamed of for a lifetime. Once you can help your brain resolve it, it's gone. I love working with shame. I love helping people clear out shame because that is one of the places you get the most transformation out of. Because you are working at such a deep level with shame and you are working with such a deep part of the rules, your subconscious programming and your subconscious rules, that when you shift that, everything changes. Your whole brain just starts reorganizing and starts moving and moving and moving. It's wonderful. I love working with like if one of my clients even smell like it smells, right? Because we're working we're working over video, right? So, but if they even smell like the shame coming up, I'm like this. What's happening now? Oh, what have we bumped into? What is that? Because something's about to pop off and be awesome. And that the self and what happens after shame is removed, it's like self-confidence is like this big bright thing that comes out of your authentic self. I think it's here. I don't know where it's at, but we're just going to pretend for right now it's right here. It's something amazing that comes out of right here, but I find that we never, people tell me, I want to build confidence. And I think, mm-mm. There, you don't need it. You don't build confidence. You uncover confidence. Confidence is already in there. And what you're telling me when you say that is I need to get the clamps of shame off of my confidence because it's got me stuck. I'm in a prison. I can't use any of it. Every time I try to grab some of it, shame yanks it right back from me. And so when we find shame and we get the clamps off, the confidence starts rising and the boldness starts coming out and the reassurance and all these things start happening and the feelings of belonging, the feelings of connection start turning on. And that is because those things, the shame holds us down, it holds us back, it holds us within, and we can't shine. We can't shine our light. We can't get out of our own way. We can't step into what we really, 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 really want because we're chained in. And so when we remove the shame, it is just it's beautiful. It's so fast, so easy. And let me tell you, it's once you start working with it a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, you get better. And then you have a better relationship with shame. And then all of a sudden you keep working with it, working with it, working with it. And all of a sudden you're like, you and shame are like team working to clear out your life. Shame is an emotion just like any of the other ones. It's not meant to stay and to harass us in our survival system and stay dark and stay quiet and stay overpowering us. It's not how it's supposed to work. But we need to move shame into the part of the brain that it needs to be in. It's not supposed to be over here. We need it up here. We need to pull it through the healing pathways. And then all of a sudden, your brain is like, oh, I've been looking for this. And it starts using it because it processes it and digests it just like your stomach does and your whole digestive tract. It really will pull from there the vitamins and the minerals, the information that comes with the shame and then the empowerment that comes with the shame because emotion is part of your power. It's power. It's energy and motion. And so but if we don't want it over here in survival land, we don't want all this emotional, this power, this energy, we don't want that in your survival system because then you're just doing survival tactics, right? And now you're hiding and you're withdrawing and you're doing all the survival shame stuff. That's not what it's there for. It's to come up in here. And you're supposed to, and shame lets you get to know yourself more. It lets you get to see the parts of yourself that you're ashamed of, or that you haven't been able to use, or that, your mom was ashamed of, or your dad was ashamed of, but you have that part too, and you learned to be ashamed of it. So you really couldn't connect with it. And you couldn't, what happens then once you can see these parts again, you start integrating and you have more wholeness on the inside and it's just and then and just more and more and more and more of who you are, more of your authentic self is available to you first, and then all of a sudden it starts showing up in other places with your kids and with your husband and with your friends and with your wife and with your clients and with your businesses and with your coworkers and with your peers, and you don't need to hide it anymore because you're okay with you, right? That shame is saying I'm not okay with me, I'm not okay with me. And that is so difficult to be hearing. If you're not okay with you, you're not going to take it out and say, hey, will you look at this? No, you're going to be like, nobody else is going to like this either. I need to hide this too. Where can I hide this? How can I hide parts of this that I am, but still be successful over here? It doesn't work like that. That's split energy. It doesn't work. You have to pull this stuff up and get a good look at it. And shame will prevent that from happening over and over and over again. But if you feel the shame, you are feeling exactly where your next transformation is coming from. And so then you can use shame properly. And shame can become one of your navigation tools. How am I going to get into the life of my dreams? And shame will tell you. It's not a fun sound. But after a while you get used to it. And next thing you know, you're like, oh good idea. I'll go over there and find that thing. And then you can go, you gotta move the shame to get to it. Because shame is there to keep you from that part. It's an internal program. Your internal program is to block you off from things that are going to cause you pain. But they're also going to keep you divided. And then you're conquered. And this is the foundation of all kinds of emotional unwellness, some of which that results in anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress disorders. It's this being divided, being repeatedly frustrated in your business efforts. It's 'cause all this division. But the brain is all about bringing it back together. The brain is about pulling things apart. It is powerful at that. And you want it to do that for your problems. That's what you want it to do. You do not want it to do that for yourself. You don't want it to pull parts of yourself apart and lock you up in different places or break down even further, because that's one of its functions. And it's your job to get it to focus on what you want it to focus on, and then to empower it to do the work it can do, the either the destructive work it needs to do, which you want that on your problems, on your obstacles. Go ahead, break that stuff down. But you don't want that on the self. And it also, your brain is also great at construction. It will construct anything you want it to build. And I'm just going to step aside for the moment and just say that this is one of the challenges I see in the training that we receive as mental health therapists, in the all these amazing interventions that we're taught, if we choose to invest in those and go get those, is that I see a lot of it is for the destructive patterns, breaking down problems, healing emotional wounds. That's a kind of a construction process. But I don't see it for constructing more and more function. I don't see that that's something that we're really going out there and helping people build function. And we should, and we could, we have all the tools, right? And so, but this is something to look out for here, because shame will show you, it'll show you where the wound is. Shame is standing over the wound. It doesn't want you to have that. But then all of a sudden you move this and you can get what you wanted out of there. And now we're talking about integrating it, building it in, integrating with this part of you. How do I let this part live when I've got all this part going on? That, and this is the construction. Your brain is like, oh, that's what we're doing here. And it'll go and just rearrange stuff for you and hook stuff up. And we can absolutely do that the same way we work with the shame. But that shame, that piece is really awesome, to work through the shame. And when you're using shame like this, shame is telling you, shame is partnering with you to break you free from its chains, right? And it's not, it's so, and we don't want to blame shame. We don't want to like demonize shame. It's really not something to do that with, because it can be so helpful. And so I want to invite you to partner with your shame. I want to invite you to look at this thing completely different, and learn how to help your brain move these difficult emotions through the healing pathways, through your brain's natural healing process, so that you can get it into the hands of your inner healer. They sit in there somewhere. All these technical terms. I wouldn't want to say get it into the hands of your prefrontal cortex. I mean, as fun as that sounds, it's, we're not nerding between each other. We are growing, healing, changing. We are going after it. So really the idea is we want all of this emotion into the hands of your inner healer, and your survival system is the thing that blocks it from moving from that part of the brain to the other. Your survival system wants to keep it over here because it thinks that it's helping you. It doesn't know that it's causing you excruciating agony and making you and forcing you to live a small life. It thinks it's helping. And so, and we know that when we're working, I have videos and videos of this. So by all means, and I actually have a webinar that talks about this specifically, and why it's important to work with the specific parts of the brain to get your life changed, to end anxiousness, to release these emotional blocks and go. So definitely, I have a link in this about section. So watch that. Um, if you have not heard me talk about this ad nauseum, right? Over and over again. But your survival system does not communicate, and it does not respond to logic or reasoning or talking. It doesn't respond like that. It responds to your body. It responds to all sorts of things like that. Movement, body, stuff, right? And so I'm super techie right now. We're teching out together here. Not, but so, but the survival system, there are ways to talk to it. There are ways to communicate with it. There are ways to convince it to, let's just let that through. Unblock this pathway so that your brain can do the work it wants to do. So the rest of the parts of the brain can show up and do their thing and do what they can do. And I want you to understand, this survival system can keep shame stuck over there for a lifetime, even if you know you're dealing with shame. You can talk about shame, you can look at shame, you can do all this stuff with shame, but if you can't move it from the healing pathways into the hands of your inner healer, you're not done with it, and it'll show up somewhere else. And that's frustrating when that happens. People tell me all the time, I was fine with this and now I can't do it anymore. I know. Because it's like shame is your brain, your brain is so persistent. If there's emotion stuck over there, it works day and night, night and day to figure out how to get to that. And your system, your survival system is like fully committed. You're not going there. You're not doing it. That dance can happen a lifetime, for a lifetime. And you'll invent new ways to feel the shame so that you can actually move it through this time, but you can't. So it keeps trying. You want out of that cycle. That is not the cycle that you're supposed to be in. And that is not the cycle that's going to allow you to step into your full potential. It's just not. And so that's a lot of what I want to share with you about that. I'm going to read some of these the comments. If you have questions about this or comments or anything you want to post, go ahead and post those now. And I also want to invite you, if you are sick of living under the rule of shame and you want to see if I can help you eliminate that shame cycle in the next 2 to 6 months, you go ahead and reach out to me by going to rachelmcleod.com/call. And I saw, my whole thing is helping people do this work as quickly as possible for them, right? This is not a long-term thing. I don't want you to be thinking about the old ways we done things where you just in therapy for years and years and years. You get like a lifetime membership to some therapy. No, like this emotion moves at lightning speed because your brain is emotional. Yeah, electrical. It is emotional, but it's electrical. And so when you can when you can get your survival system to let the work happen, it happens like that instantly. 5 minutes of this work is life changing. So let's put on 10 minutes. Let's put on 20 minutes. Let's put on as much as you need to get this thing out. And let's not drag this stuff around. And let's empower you with the tools to take care of yourself and to become an expert at moving emotion. Okay, so if you're ready for that, go ahead and grab a spot on my calendar, rachelmcleod.com/call, and we'll talk about it. So anyways, let's look at the comments. If you have any comments, you can go ahead and post them. And um, yes, Kia talks about she appreciates me pointing out the correlation between shame and should. Yes, ding goes off in my brain. Yes, it is so. Let me tell you, in this work, awareness is the most difficult part. As far as I'm concerned, becoming aware of where the shame is the toughest part. The intervention, the transformation, the healing is like easy peasy. Seriously. And so it's like if you can bring this stuff into awareness and you know how to help your brain do the healing work, you're golden. There is not one shame. Like you can get in there with your little vacuum and vacuum up any shame you need, and you got access to all these new things. It's fabulous. It really is. It really, really is. When you move shame, you're opening up so much in your life. Yeah, looking away, good news. Yes. I'm not certain what that means, but I'm thinking about the not looking able to look at it directly. And I think that I'm just going to rant about that for a second. So many of us think that we got to push through. We got to push through this shame. No, you're not. You're going to get your butt kicked by doing that. If your brain says no, there's no amount of pushing through. And let me tell you, I'm the queen of pushing. So pushing through these things and like running your head into things. So I just want you to know, save you some time and energy, that's painful and it doesn't really work, and it can re-traumatize you. It can create traumatic experiences for you that create new webs of nonsense and drama in your life. And so really, don't push yourself. There are ways to do this work quickly and in ways that keep you stable and well and thriving and healing. If you're pushing yourself through this, there's a point when your survival system will override everything and shut it all down. That's its job, is to shut this down. Its job is to shut pain down. And if you go in there and you think you're going to just burst through and you're going to just dump all the shame on your head and just feel it and be with it and love it, I don't recommend that for most of you. I would say 97% of you, that sounds like a really bad idea, and don't do it. There is going to be 3% of you that like that's your jam and you're going to rock that. You go ahead and do it. But if you're not those 3%, there's other ways to do it. And yes, you can process big emotions without dumping them on you, without looking at them directly. There's so many brain tricks. right? And when, and if you need brain tricks, you do them, right? And then you just find the ones that work for you. That's why I like, this is what I do. I have a whole bag of brain tricks over here. Let's try this one. No? Okay. What about this one? No? Okay. What about, oh, well, they might like this one. And so, and oh, look at that, And so, and now we're processing things that could never be processed before. Painful, incredible, terrible traumas, incredible mind numbing shame, it's like these things, there is always a way. There is always a way to heal these things without re-traumatizing you, without sending you into agony, because in my opinion, no pain equals much gain. So how can we do this in the least amount of pain possible? So thoughts from Rachel. Um, oh, Crystal Rhodes is like, oh my gosh, yes, exactly. Oh, and Andrea says, I so needed this today. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. I was really excited to do this one. I've been cooking this one in the back of my head for a little while, and it was like, it's time. So there it is. I really want you to appreciate your shame. I really want you to embrace it. I want you to dance with it. I want you to learn how to dance with it. And I want you to learn how to lead it, because it's a big, scary one. It's like this dark ninja, that just slices you and makes you have to go back and tend your wounds, right? But when you can get it on your team, it really will be that for you, for the good, for the things that you really need it for, like liberating you. You can pull it onto the liberation team as opposed to the prison guard, right? We do not need you having any prison guards. Okay, you can meditate on that. So that's what I wanted to share. And I invite you to partner with your shame, dance with it, move with it, and move it. Get it out of the survival system, get it out from under the clutches of your survival system. I do love your survival system too, but we're just telling stories at the moment that make it understandable and easier to process. So get it out from under the clutches of the survival center and into your inner healer, where magic happens, and where really what happens is your inner healer rewrites the survival codes, and it makes it so that that your survival system no longer views that thing that it was creating shame, no longer views it as dangerous. And so that thing will happen again. You will come into awareness of that part of you, and you won't have a survival sense. You won't have the racing the racing thoughts start to happen, or the needing to withdraw. You'll just be able to stand there with this part in the light, right? And it just becomes another part. And all of a sudden it's kind of weird, because you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. I'm doing this right here. Like, I'm in the pictures. I'm going live. I am sending the emails. I'm reaching out to people I hadn't reached out to before. Look at me. And that's a little bit odd, because you're like, I'm doing something I hadn't. Are they coming for me? Like, where's the prison guards? No, they're not. Your brain worked that through. And that's where the result is. That's where freedom comes from. And we want to do that as much as possible, and really break you free to love and live and impact and just adventure to your fullest potential. So that's it. So love your shame and work with it and resolve it. And I will see you another time. Take care.